Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, in spite of the fact that today we've borrowed $65 million, the one this time is one that I must say you can find some justification for it. But, Mr. Speaker, justification because of the times that we live in, justification, and I'm sure members of my colleagues will speak about it, justification in the fact that the government now sees it wise to introduce the digital world throughout the country, including the schools. They have seen the gain in it, the gain in it, the gain. They've seen the gain in the digital world. I think that that is necessary, Mr. Speaker. Well, Mr. Speaker, the members opposite can't help themselves. They just can't help themselves. You know why they can't help themselves? I heard the Prime Minister talk about reduction of VAT, and you know, this Prime Minister gets then he accuses us of, but you know, he stands and he talk about he can't reduce VAT because people don't have an ID card. I mean, he cannot remove VAT because people don't have an ID card. I mean, you think that's what he said? He implied that one of the reasons why they have not removed VAT because of the problems of identification. But explain what he said.
I thank the member from Castries East for yielding. What I said is that the social program, which needs to be on an e-platform, which is driven by a singular ID card. So it means that the person, through the person's ID card, we will know their economic status. And understanding their economic status, so for a single mother with multiple kids and no job, that not only should they be getting whatever subsistence monies we're giving, but they should be making sure that they get all the other benefits. So health insurance they would qualify for. If in fact that they have food for their kids, if they need school books, if they need school uniforms, all those things will be able to provide it because now all that information will be on a singular ID card platform. And therefore, all the ministries now that don't know what all the other ministries are doing, it's now all going to be on one single form so that we now can make sure there's a coordinated effort in order to be able to help the more vulnerable in our society. And it's when we have that, honorable member, that we now can reduce the VAT further, because any further reduction in VAT, as you know, would have to include taking off all of the deductions. And we don't want to do that until we're ready to make sure that the people that need are getting.
Continue, Honorable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to get involved with that because, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister the Prime Minister says that he can't remove VAT because, anyway, I mean, I don't know. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister gets up there and he speaks. He says he's building a building in Beaufort. And you'd believe that he's living in a world of his own. And he's trying to minimize the issues that exist in the world today. President Trump, a few minutes ago, you know what he said? He said, COVID-19 in the U.S. will get worse before it gets better. Speaking at his first press conference since April, urged the public to wear masks, and considered the virus would probably, unfortunately, get worse before it gets better. But, Mr. Speaker, They stand in this ordinary house, and instead of President Trump, a guy who was all the time denying, call it the Chinese flu, says it will go away. You know, the same denial, Mr. Speaker, and there's a relationship, the same denial. To this morning, he admitted that. But this morning, Mr. Speaker, a minister gets up and he boasts, we've just opened this tourist to the U.S., and we have got a beautiful plan, and tourists in the U.S. will come. It's that the same. I mean, Mr. Speaker, if you do not take, Mr. Speaker, if you don't check yourself, you wonder if you are speaking to people who live in the real world. Yesterday, the Bahamas banned every visitor coming from the United States. The Bahamas. Europe has banned U.S. visitors. Antigua admitted last week that U.S. visitors come with false COVID tests. Why want the opposition? Why won't we want the tourism economy to open? Why won't we want the tourism economy to open? Everybody on this side knows somebody who is affected by the tourism industry. Everyone knows. So why do you think that we not want the tourism industry to open? But Mr. Speaker, it is the reality that this government doesn't want to face, that COVID is something that they did not cause, but this COVID is something that we have to take seriously. And that is why, if you want to convert the economy to a digital economy, to be able to operate in your own space, because the whole social distancing, the whole setup of the world is changing, Mr. Speaker. I mean, in a place like England, football is played in stadiums and nobody is there. I mean, this is serious. But we come here and we stand up and we beat our chest and we laugh and we joke and we do all kinds of things, failing to understand the seriousness of this crisis. And that is why I said in the beginning, that there is justification in trying to convert our economy into a digital economy. And no one on this side will ever think that is not necessary. But fact is, Mr. Speaker, this government is not telling people that all what they are saying there is basically living a dream world, a world of dreams, a world of fantasy. When you justify in 2020, a time when in the great United States, their economic stimulus package, they've said that they have to increase it because the economy of the United States will not be able to remain sustainable in the crisis, Mr. Speaker. You come here and you boast, you laugh, you say that you're doing so well. You are the only country in the world where you can get tourists to come. You'll borrow money to build an airport. In the present circumstances, don't you think, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister brings two letters to this honorable House, and he makes a fuss of it, saying that the opposition did not want to hear what we are discussing on the airports. The letter is clear. It says, we however believe the HIA needs to be redeveloped, but cannot in good conscience endorse a process that the government is going through. That's clear. We are not hiding. That's not a secret. We said in public we do not support borrowing money for the airport. And the member for Cassius North is right. You're in government, you do your thing. We in government, and we says that we don't agree. So when you bring this letter trying to pretend that you wanted to involve us, and we didn't get involved because we're so wicked and we don't like St. Lucia, Mr. Speaker, this is... But we don't support it. We said we don't agree with it. That's why we didn't come. And we make no apologies for that. We don't apologize for that. But what we're saying to you, we wanted you to address, to discuss with us the DSH project. That's what we wanted to discuss with you. We wanted to discuss with you the DSH project, where you compromising 1,000. That's what we want to discuss with you. You never spoke to us. You signed an agreement. We asked you to make it, to come to the parliament, like how Sir John did when he debated the Hess agreement. We said to you, you are dealing with 1,000 acres of land. Come to the parliament, put it on the table, and let's discuss it. That's all we said to you, you know. Let's discuss the agreement. You refused. You laughed at us. You ridiculed us. You called us all kind of names. You come back at us tonight doing the same thing. Because we are saying that we are not in agreement with a PPP. We're not in agreement with it. We agree that the airport is supposed to be constructed, but we are not in agreement with the PPP. That's our position. We are not in agreement with borrowing money for it. We are in agreement. Our position is going for PPP. That's all you're saying. You come here and you try to play with facts and play drama, Mr. Speaker. How can you say that a PPP arrangement is a contingent liability?
Honorable member,
When you do not,
return to the reality of what's before us. We passed that in
no,
the
but
last debate.
Mr. Speaker, I think don't the rules of the House allow me to speak?
Not in the new debate.
Not in what?
Not in the new debate, honorable member. We now debating something.
So I thought the rules of the House allowed me to say something said by a member previously. I thought it's
not in the new debate.
But Mr. Speaker, in that case, everybody here is going off track. Because
you're the first speaker on the new debate.
When the Prime Minister speaks, he speaks about everything for every debate, you know. When the Prime Minister stands up to speak, and I don't argue with you, but when the Prime Minister stands up, he says everything he can about everything just because he's the Prime Minister. He speaks, I don't understand that. Mr. Speaker, I don't understand that, but I'm saying to you that I believe this House, we ought to have equal opportunity. It's an equal opportunity House. But anyhow, I'm not going to argue. I'm going to move on. So, Mr. Speaker, the seriousness of the world we live in, the seriousness of that COVID crisis, this government must come to grips with that situation and stop the chest beating and stop the boasting. These loans, all of these loans are loans not given to St. Lucia, given to the region, given to other islands. It's not because they have any superior negotiating skills or any because St. Lucia has any better GDP ratio that the World Bank is doing that. All the institutions, the IMF, the World Bank, they've decided that because of the economic crisis in this world, they have to change the way they did things. That's what they said. It's not because this government is in anything special. All these loans from the fourth, and the member for Labrie read it on the web on the CDB's website. You have it there? They read it. All these countries got the same credit card to pay a credit card. The other one, the one for the National Development Association, even Haiti got $84 million of money. Even Haiti. And this one again, a Caribbean digital transformation. The Caribbean, because the World Bank and the IMF, they've understood that they have to change the way they do things because of the crisis in the world. Because of the crisis in the world. But this government insists, they insist in coming to this honorable House and not wanting the opposition to state its point of view about issues. When these members on that side were in opposition, nothing we did was right. Nothing. I mean, they've forgotten just 4 years ago. Nothing. They wrote on the CIP. Nothing we did was right. And now they're here in a self-righteous posture trying to attack members of the side. Mr. Speaker, all I want to say is that this, this transformation of the economy into a digital economy is necessary. I think it's something that we ought to do, but I would have been happy if every child had a computer already. But I think it's something we have to do, and I hope that there is equal opportunity for everyone. I think that the government should move on an island-wide creation of island-wide Wi-Fi capabilities island-wide, so every child should be able to get Wi-Fi either free of charge or at a moderate cost. I believe that right now we should be helping parents who can't afford to pay for Wi-Fi and whose children have to do their homework on Wi-Fi because of the problems in the schools. I think we should be helping them. I think we should be doing all that. So I will not come here and not justify the reasons why the economy should not go digital. What I will always see, and we will always see, is that this government is pretending that life is the same, and life is not the same, and the crisis that this government is trying to pretend does not exist. And now it's time for the government to sit back and rethink its priorities, rethink what they are doing, rethink of the policies that they are following because of the COVID situation. The Prime Minister said a while ago that we have to exist with COVID. I agree. But that situation is not as simple and as straightforward as we think it is. So you can come here and you can play for the gallery and you can boast of all sorts of things, but I'm urging the government to look carefully at their policies now, because if the United States can feel that strain, a little island like us must be careful. That's all I'm saying, Mr. Speaker. With all, I will not come and profess that the members opposite don't like the people and all these kind of statements. These things are statements that are made to denigrate people and to create a false sense of superiority. I will not do that. I think each one of us are representing people that we want to see get a better way of living. And this is why I stand and I make these interventions for the people of St. Lucia. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.